Go ahead, Chair.
Great. Good evening, commissioners. I call this meeting of the Governor's Commission on Middle Eastern American Affairs to order on September 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So first off, we're going to do roll call. And for those of you who were not in attendance last meeting in July or August, if you could just take a minute only for those individuals to introduce yourself to Gane, who has joined us on the commission as of July. Otherwise, we could just go around, we'll take count, and we will just say present for everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll call off based off of who I see on my screen. So Commissioner Susan Grossman.
Here.
Commissioner Gane.
Here.
Commissioner Amar. And Amar, I believe you are joining us from a couple months away. You're on mute, but if you wanted to give a brief intro. You're still on mute. Are you able to get off mute?
Okay. Can I be heard now? Yeah. Okay. I think I've met Gane before, didn't I, in July?
We did.
So,
We did.
Wonderful.
yeah. So present, I guess.
Okay, wonderful. Commissioner Mohammed.
Present.
Commissioner Aisha. And you're on mute, but I saw your lips move.
Sorry.
Commissioner Vice Chair Let.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Alyssa.
You're mute.
I heard her go off mute for a second.
Oh, here. I'm here.
Okay, great. Commissioner Ronnie.
Here. Hi, everybody. Present.
Hi. And Shivani, you messaged in the chat that you're present. I apologize that you're under the weather. And thank you, everybody else. Protocol is we're trying to, if you're able, to be on video as much as possible. And then also Commissioner Athar just joined us. We're just doing roll call. Commissioner Athar, if you want to just say present.
Present.
Okay, wonderful. So we do have a quorum. So quorum's been established, and now let's move ahead to the agenda for today's meeting, which Cheryl circulated in advance. I did want to call out that the only thing that I wanted to address that some people may already want to address is the working group list is an outdated list, so it doesn't reflect our current working groups. So that was the only thing that I wanted to amend and raise, but I wanted to raise the agenda to see if there were any additions or discussions on the agenda before we make a motion to adopt it. None? Okay, great. So hearing none, I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. And then as we go into the working groups, we can talk about the more updated working groups that we have. So I need a second to have this motion adopted. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Amar, thank you for the second. All in favor, please say A, or just raise your hand. Actually, that would be easiest virtually or in camera.
I'm driving. This is Athar, so I'm raising my hand.
Wonderful. Motion passes because it is unanimous. I didn't see any opposed or abstentions. So motion carries. So the agenda is adopted.
Mona, Cheryl's raising her hand. I think there was somebody maybe that didn't respond. Is that right?
When it's a motion, the chair can ask for a motion to be called, but then we need a first and a second. The chair cannot be the first for a motion.
Oh, yes. Okay. So does someone, Vice Chair, do you want to make a first?
Yes, I'll move to adopt the agenda as written.
Okay, and then we already had the second from Omar.
Okay. And all approved.
Great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. No, thanks for that. Okay, wonderful. So next we're gonna dive into the chair's report. What I was really hoping to do today is really, just to share my appreciation with so many of you who have been in community over the last month, especially. There has been a myriad of events that have come up in our area in DC and in Maryland over the last month. And I just wanted to highlight a few of them where I've attended and where I've seen many of you attend. And I may point to some of you to just elaborate a little bit about each of the events. I was hoping to prepare a bit of a slideshow, but ran out of time. But hopefully next time can do that. And we've been taking photos and sharing them with Dr. Brown, who I believe has been percolating them to Greg and Larry. And I think it's wonderful to see us in community. And please make sure as you go out to events, take pictures as much as possible and try to get those photos with yourself in them. But at a very high level, 3 events that I, really loved attending. One was the Pops in the Park event that happened with the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra. They were doing an annual event where they do 2 very large outdoor performances to celebrate the end of the year. And they worked very closely and we're very excited to work with our commission at the lead by Commissioner Amar, who got one of his recommended pieces from a ballad that was part of, I believe, a series of songs called Aleppo Songs. And Commissioner Amar, I just wanted you to talk about your collaboration with the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra to make that happen. Myself and Dr. Brown both went there. We met the composer, the executive director. It was a gorgeous and beautiful event. They raised GOSI as a strong partner and collaborator for making the diverse array of songs they had that evening, which were just a beautiful example of the diversity of Maryland. So Commissioner Amar, can you just say a couple words about that event? And
Yeah,
your
my pleasure.
collaboration?
It's well, thank you very much for attending. And it's really sort of was a very disappointing in many ways that I couldn't be there, but I was in Syria, as you know. It was I remember when the whole relation started, when we were given by former Chairman Farwat, we were given sort of like a list of partners to try to connect with. And I decided that the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra was a good suit for my interests, and I reached out to them, and they were very immediately. I mean, we established a connection with Jose Luis Novo, the conductor, who is world famous, by the way. He was at the New York Orchestra before he joined in the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra, and he was always interested in diversity. So when I came up and the Middle East and the peace process and all of that, so when I came up to him and I said, GOSI and the Middle Eastern American Commission, he was very interested, and I suggested that he sort of incorporated pieces by Middle Eastern composers. So he immediately asked for recommendations, and I made some, and he picked up a very, very beautiful piece, in fact, by an Aleppo composer who's based in Boston right now. But he also agreed that in the future we will incorporate more pieces by Middle Eastern composers, or even Middle Eastern music itself, and modernized or presented to an American audience. So we have that agreement initially, and I think we want to push for something along these lines for the 250th anniversary. So this is a relation that deserves to be cultivated more and more, that requires to be cultivated more and more, and there is a lot of interest. So we do have a partner that's very reliable and very enthusiastic in the person of Jose Luis and the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra. But I need your help, of course, in furthering this, because, as you know, my schedule is unpredictable, and but I love this. I mean, I'm very happy that this first event was successful, and I hope this will be the beginning of a long-term relationship with the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra.
Thank you, Commissioner Amar. And just to echo what Commissioner Amar just shared, we are moving forward with collaborating with the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra in 2 ways. One, just for your background, Greg, in our last commission meeting, we did establish a working group to start planning for Maryland 250 and to start with doing something with the symphony orchestra, but also seeking out other partners as well for advanced planning. And we are definitely looking for others on the commission to help with that conversation with the executive director and the composer of Annapolis Symphony Orchestra. I'm working on nailing a date to meet with them in early October. So if you're interested in being a part of that meeting, please contact myself or Commissioner Amar. Okay, next event that I wanted to highlight is the 3rd annual DC Arab Cultural Festival. Now, while this event was in DC, it did pull in from the region, and one of the vendors who was there was our very own Commissioner Athar. It was a gorgeous event. It brought many of us together, myself, Vice Chair Alette, Commissioner Mohammed, even former Chair Tharwat was there with his family. It was very family oriented with music, food, and Commissioner Athar. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the event and if there was any other vendors or associations that you've worked with in creating that event that you think we should continue working with for GOSI events.
Sure. Yes, it was the it was celebrating Arab and Arab American culture. And there were about 30 vendors, I believe, lots of handmade items, celebrating different cultures in the Middle East. And DJ Bes, it was by DJ Besbouza. She was the organizer who was part of our event last year. Which I think she's great to continue working with. She has a lot of connections, and I was just vending, fundraising to raise money for a school in Egypt that has like Palestinian refugee children. So we were doing that. So it was a great event, and it was so nice to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I'll definitely shoot some pictures into our WhatsApp group. I haven't yet done that, but there were some great photos of many of us who were there. And then lastly, the only other event I was going to share is I did meet recently in a get-together of all the GOSI chairs. And we just came together and really talked about topics and subjects that are well aligned across all of our commissions in our communities. And there were sort of 2 threads that we came up with. One is we all have representation of small businesses in our communities, and we want to be doing more with the small business community. So I did want to highlight that there was an event that was supposed to happen on Tuesday evening with the Chamber of Commerce. That event did get canceled, but hopefully will get rescheduled. I know many of you wanted to attend, and I'll let you know when that gets rescheduled. Additionally, we spoke about having focus groups that mirrored what some of the other GOSI commissions have done and found success with, and Vice Chair Alette will be speaking about that a little bit later. We're trying to sort of create a playbook that many of our commissions use so that we're not all reinventing the wheel. Now, before I move on in the agenda, were there other events that you all attended in the last month or two that you'd like to highlight? If so, I'm opening the floor. Just raise your hand and I'll address. So, Commissioner Susan, you have the floor.
I was at the Jewish Federation of Howard County's annual meeting, and I represented the commission there. Did have a photo, I think I even posted it, but I didn't send it to you, so I'm going to try to find that. I'm sorry. But I also was representing the commission at the HOCO Interfaith Clergy Alliance's meet. There was the Howard County executive, Calvin Ball, invited interfaith leaders to attend his unveiling of Howard County Interfaith Plan, and so I was on the commission, on the council that created that, but I also was there and spoke of our commission and how we could be helpful and we could kind of connect with one of the local, with the sense of county, you know, on the county level as well. So he is doing a lot of things that would be really interesting that we might be interested in talking about and bringing to other counties as well.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Grossman. Anybody else want to raise any other events they attended? If not, I was actually going to pass it over to Vice Chair Alette because, you know, I'm not really sure why, but it seems like there is just a bubbling of Middle Eastern food festivals happening right now in Maryland. And for some reason, we were, you know, just noticing there were 3 going on just this weekend. And actually, I just forgot to mention one of the events that I attended, which was at the Egyptian Coptic Church just 2 weeks ago in Cabin John, Maryland, where I met the Baba, or the, you know, senior pastor there, and the congregation as they held an Egyptian cultural festival. And they also raised a lot of interest in working with us and collaborating with GOSI in the future. So sorry about forgetting to mention that as well. So Vice Chair Alette, do you want to talk about the upcoming events? I know you mentioned it in our group chat.
Yeah, so there's 2 this weekend that I'm aware of. So they start Friday and they run through Sunday. I put them in the WhatsApp chat, but if you don't have access to that and would like the information, just reach out to me. I'm happy to share it with you. One of them is the Saints Paul and Peter Church on River Road in Potomac, and they have their annual Middle Eastern festival. And then the other one is the Armenian Church in Bethesda. I forgot the exact name of it, but that's also running Friday through Sunday. They're going to have vendors, Middle Eastern food, and I think some performances. And they're all family oriented. I actually attended a Middle Eastern festival in Reston, just across the border. What is it called? In Virginia? Not Vienna.
Fairfax?
No. The first city. I forgot the name, but it was like right across the border. No, not Alexandria. I can't remember. Oh my goodness.
Arlington.
Until I remember. But there is a large Middle Eastern Christian church out there that my husband's coworker grew up with, but he also lives in Maryland. But anyway, we attended, and I was asking them about additional Christian Arab communities in Maryland, because I feel like that's a little bit of a pocket of a void that our commission should tap into in the state. And he had pointed out a couple, including Saints Paul and Peter. So it was perfect timing, because then suddenly I saw these festivals, and so I hope to attend this weekend, and I know Mona is planning on attending, so that we can reach out to these communities and start building those bridges as well. So I encourage you all to attend if you can.
Wonderful. Okay, well, that's a wrap for that agenda item. So thanks everybody for sharing and continuing to be in community with residents in Maryland. So moving on in our agenda, at this time, I'd like to invite remarks from the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives. So Greg, normally Dr. Brown would take the lead on this section. So wanted to open the floor to you to make any remarks.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and so good to see everyone. If you could just bear with me for a moment, I want to share a quick story that may seem irrelevant at first. Recently, my wife and I took our 3-year-old granddaughter to a playground, and it was packed. And as you can imagine, all of these adults and children running around on this huge structure that adults can go up on with their children. And we see the children bumping into each other because they were fearless. And of course, the adults were fearful, running around, bumping into each other, trying to see if their child might fall or fall off of something. And it was kind of funny at times to see that, but also we even had some of that fear within ourselves. And so my wife and I developed a system where she stayed up top, she took the high ground, and I was at the low ground, so I'm not just climbing over a wall and stuff. And so, it made me think about our strange political playground right now that we're seeing, how we have to tread that middle ground between fearlessness and living in fear. And I'm grateful for all of you and what you're doing, because some of you have those opportunities as leaders in the community, as commission leaders, where you're at the high ground and you get to see things that other people don't see. And then sometimes you're there at street level, serving every day, and you're also watching to keep our children, our community safe, and those different angles, and seeing how people are coming together and how you make our government better, how you're making our nonprofits better, how you're making our private sector better. When we have this, as someone was mentioning earlier, building these bridges. And so I am so grateful for the things that I'm hearing from you today, the things that I've heard from Dr. Brown, and all that you're doing, with working with the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra, the Arab Cultural Festival. I'm okay with these food venues and ways that we all come together and can watch each other's backs and making sure that we have safer communities for our children. So I do not want to take up any more time. I see a robust agenda. And so I just want to thank you all for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much for those comments. And yeah, really, really appreciate you just, sitting in and staying connected with the commission. Any questions while we have this opportunity to have Greg with us at this meeting? Does anybody have any comments or questions or remarks that they want to make? No. Okay, wonderful. We're all down to business today. Okay, well, thank you for the continued leadership and partnership, Greg. We're gonna now hear updates from our standing committees. So I'll call to the chairs of each of these standing committees to just give a high-level update for a few minutes. So first on the agenda is education and health. So Commissioner Chair Aisha, if you could speak a little bit with any updates since last meeting.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's really nice seeing everybody. I don't have major updates since our July meeting. The partnership that the Health and Education Committee has done with Howard County Public School System is what we have been working on now for the past 9 months. Most recently, they have told us they're intending to adopt a reflective structured pilot program in their school, but we have not been able to move forward with concrete plans because of the summer. We do have a follow-up meeting scheduled for October 10th. And we are really, really hoping we get a bit of an idea as to how they plan to use it in the pilot program. But they have said that they would like to start with implementing the program with their teachers. So we're really excited about that. We do have a concern of the cost involved for the facilitation of this pilot program, and it's about $20,000. And so we have reached out to Dr. Brown with some questions as to just generally when you're trying to raise funds for a program or you're trying to, get a grant, how does the money flow and how does the process occur? So we're waiting for Dr. Brown to kind of help us with that. And maybe a little bit later, if we have some time, we can ask Mr. Yancey to elaborate on that a little bit so that, we move in accordance to everything that is to be done correctly. With that said, now that the summer is over and everybody's back in their full schedule, kids are all tucked into the new schedules, I'm hoping to have a meeting and then we plan to hopefully start some other programs that the committee members are interested in. So that's all I have to add for this update.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair Aisha, for that. I also think, a conversation related to how that funding flows it's relevant to everyone here. So maybe that's something that's a readout to the entire commission as you gather that information and work with Dr. Brown on that. For example, I've been illuminated by a similar process for getting approval for a venue for our upcoming retreat. So, I think these are things that would be helpful for all of us to know how to get them routed. So yeah, definitely keep us updated and appreciate keeping this going.
Thank you.
And Cheryl, I see your hand is raised. Apologies if I missed that or if that was from before. Oh, okay. It was from before. Okay.
No, it wasn't. It was new. I just wanted just to bring to your attention that you missed number 4 of the agenda, the approval of the minutes.
Oh, oops. Oh, thank you. That's a big
I just wanted to that's all.
Yes. Okay, let's go back to agenda item 4. Apologies for skipping right over that. And Dr. Brown is joining us at the moment. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the minutes from the July 24th and special meeting on August 12th were shared by Cheryl to the entire commission. So just going back to agenda item 4 to see if there are any corrections to those minutes. And just as a refresher, as we mentioned, I believe in the July meeting, or maybe in the August meeting, those minutes get circulated to Dr. Brown, myself, and Vice Chair Alet Wafa, and they are meant to be an abridged version of the verbatim recording that is publicly available. Okay, great. If none, then may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I submit a motion to approve the minutes, please, as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Amar. Do I have a second to approve the minutes?
I second the Commissioner Alat.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Wafa. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. If you could raise your hand if you're in favor of the approval. Okay. And I see Commissioner Athar, I don't see a hand raised or lowered. Are you abstaining?
No. I was trying to raise my hand on here, but I wasn't able. Like, I'm pressing the button, it's not doing anything. So yeah, I'm raising my hand. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And Commissioner Shivani, are you wanting to raise your, oh, you just raised your hand as well. So now we have unanimous approval. So the motion carries and both sets of meetings minutes as presented are now approved. Great. Thank you, everyone. Good catch, Cheryl. Apologies for that. That would have been a big miss if we needed another special meeting there. Okay, so returning back to updates on our standing committee meetings, agenda item 7. We will move forward now to an update on our standing committee for local engagement and inclusion. Chair Alette, you have the floor to provide an update.
Thank you. Okay, so some progress here, thankfully. So recently, Mona met with Commissioner Ernesto, who is part of the Hispanic and Latin American Community Affairs Commission, and was able to get a copy. They shared that they have this like a playbook of what they use for roundtable discussions. And you may recall that one of the things our committee wants to do is have regular roundtables within the community to understand their needs, to share resources, things like that. And in our initial meeting earlier this year, we had identified priority areas that we were going to focus on as well. So I got that playbook. I've customized it for our commission. It includes like initial communication emails, a schedule and calendar that we can build out, as well as a sign-up sheet for commissioners that would be attending those roundtables. So we have that now framework in place. They also shared this spreadsheet that they use, their model of identifying who would participate in different roundtables. And so as a next step, I have identified a number of dates that I'd like to have our next committee meeting. And before I created a doodle and it's ready to go. But, you know, in light of all the changes that took place, some commissioners leaving, new commissioners coming in, what I would love is to have an understanding of who I should send the invitation out to. So my ask is that either by the end of this call or maybe by the end of tomorrow, if you can communicate to me if you're interested in being on our local engagement and inclusion committee, to let me know so I can send out the doodle, so I can send out the invitation, because it is a committee. We have certain requirements that we have to follow as a part of the Open Meetings Act, where we have to send out invitations in, you know, a certain amount in advance. They're public meetings, and so I'll work with Cheryl to get those out, you know, in time. So I have those dates set out. And then what's the other thing? We have the toolkit, the doodle. I think that's the main things I wanted to cover. So just ask, you know, if you can put it in the chat if you're interested and you're raising your hand. I'll be sure to include. And if you are already on it and you want to stay on it, please let me know as well. If you're on it and you don't want to be on it anymore, that's okay too. No pressure. Like, you know, Commissioner Mona and I were talking about how you can think of this as a reset with our new composition. So you're not tied. If you want to switch the committees or a working group, or you want to join more, that's okay too. We welcome that. Just let us know.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alette. And just as a reminder, within the shared folder that Cheryl has set up and the one that I provided via email after our July meeting, which was as an attachment, you can see all the standing committees and the working groups, and you could just reply via email or go directly into the shared folder if you have Google Suite access to add your name for whatever working groups and committees that you want to be a part of. So I will, it's been a couple months. I know we've all had vacation and kids in school returning. So as a reminder, I'll follow up from tonight's meeting and send that spreadsheet again via email and send the direct links to those editable Google documents. Great. Wonderful. So moving on to
Commissioner Mona, Cheryl's putting in the chat that we would need a vote to do the roundtable discussion project. So it's one of our action items within our committee. So I'm not sure we actually need a vote for that. I see Dr. Brown shaking his head no.
Yes, because I thought you were just updating. That's not ready for presentation, right?
Yeah, not yet. We were going to talk about it. We have to create I'm going to meet with my group, my committee, and we would finalize everything first.
Yeah, do the committee work.
It's a committee work. It's
Yeah, do
committee
the committee work and then bring it to the full board.
Wonderful. Any comments or remarks that anyone would like to make on either of our standing committees before we move on to updates with our working groups? Commissioner Susan, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. So I volunteered to be on that commission, but didn't get any notices about meetings. So maybe there haven't been any yet, but I'm wondering, just as part of the work that you're doing, I know that you're trying to make sure that there is, different perspectives and different faiths involved in the roundtable. And I think that's always important to put out there so that everyone knows that that is one of our kind of leitmotifs and a touchstone for, finding, balance and helping to bring people, the diverse populations that are in our state together rather than tear them apart.
100%.
And that's a value of yours personally, Ala.
And thank you, Cheryl, for saying that you'll reshare the folder for the working groups. We have individual folders for the working groups, and I myself just created a new folder for the Maryland 250 working group that we voted in our last commission meeting, which is the new working group that you can also participate in. Any other remarks? Great, thank you all for those updates. So moving on to hearing from our working groups. First off, we'll be talking about event planning. And for this, I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Alyssa, who will share an update. And I will also contribute as well as we look to plan our upcoming retreat on October 26th. Alyssa, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. So I did meet with Mona not too long ago, and so we had a great meeting talking about the upcoming retreat. So I did send her kind of more of a formalized agenda for the day, which really kind of combines both the camaraderie part of it and kind of the learning how to work together part of it. And I think that it is going to be a really fun day. I know we are going to need some funding to rent the space. Mona was kind enough to, Commissioner Kishore was kind enough, sorry, to find a spot that is very, very reasonably priced to use for the whole day. So we're super excited about that. And then we were thinking, of course, any facility we're going to rent is going to have some sort of fee. But we were thinking about doing kind of a cultural potluck at the actual event itself. So kind of bring a dish that's been important to you from your childhood or from your culture, or really anything around that. Obviously no pork, no shellfish. So if we could stay away from both of those, but really any other dishes that you'd like to share, like I might bring, my grandmother's noodle pudding, because it's always a tasty treat. But different things, because Commissioner Kishore was even telling me about some dishes where I'm like, oh, I would love to learn more about that. And I think food is such a great way for us to get to know each other and get to know each other's backgrounds, but also kind of that history, right? Like our family history, where did that recipe come from? So what I'm going to be looking for is to make a motion to approve spending $450 on a rental fee. So I do want to make that motion officially so that we can move forward to get the facility booked.
Thank you, Commissioner Alyssa. And one of our working groups is focused on the retreat. We have provided GOSI with 3 venues, and the 3 venues that have criteria that we need for this event. 1, a kitchen, so that we can provide our own food and eliminate the cost of catering. 2, a private bathroom and area where commissioners can pray. And 3, Wi-Fi and AV equipment, so we can break up and do group activities and some of the professional facilitation that Alyssa has done in the past, that she's lending her talents to bring to us for this retreat. So thank you for making that motion. Do I have first, are there any remarks or questions about that motion? And I see
you need a second.
Oh, a second first. Okay. So first, do I have a second for the motion to approve? So Commissioner Ginay is the second. And now I'm going to open it to discussion. So Commissioner Susan, do you have a question or a remark? You have your hand raised, but you're mute.
Sorry. Yes, a question. So I just wanted to question the food policy in Howard County, at least. When we've been doing Jewish Muslim programming, we're always careful actually not to have any meat also. So it's not just pork and no shellfish, but also no meat. And that makes it just so much easier for more people to feel comfortable eating whatever's there. So it's just something to think about. It may not work in other counties. I don't know what other counties do, but it's something that's worked well in Howard County.
I appreciate that remark. As someone who mainly cooks vegan at home, but panivore myself, I appreciate that. And I do think it's something that we may want to do. I have yet to put together a form like I promised for the retreat. I want to just confirm the venue is booked before collecting everyone's accommodations and dietary restrictions. But that's a very good point, Commissioner Susan, that the least common denominator is probably going to be vegetarian. So we'll probably lean in that direction. Any other comments or questions about the venue or the agenda? It's still, being finalized, but at a very high level, we're looking to start somewhere around 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, the 26th. And go until 3 p.m. And, it sounded like from prior discussions that timing would work well for most. And I know most people have accepted to the save the date holds that I sent out on the calendars. So please let me know if you think that timing is difficult for you to make. We're also reaching out to some of our further out commissioners like Commissioner Amell to make sure they're able to make it to the venue, and it's not too far of a drive and the timing works for the drive. Any other questions or comments? No? Are people excited? I'm super excited.
I was just about to say that. Excited. Yeah.
Commissioner Ginay?
Yes. Where is it going to be? Have we chosen?
So the venue that was being put forward for motion is the Journey Space, which is a healing center in Montgomery County. It's a space where I've done interfaith and other events in the past.
Okay.
And as it sounds, it is a healing center. It's a place where a lot of people do healing practices like yoga therapy, meditation, sound bath therapy. So the atmosphere, I think, is very conducive to a retreat. And it is pretty unique because it's a retrofitted home. So it also has a full kitchen, separate area for prayer, and a full bathroom as well, and equipment for conferencing. And it's pretty well set up. So, and as I, shared, and as Commissioner Alyssa shared, it is the least expensive of the three options that we found. It is $450 for 7 hours. It's either 7 or 9 hours. It's a full day rental. And then the other closest equivalents were, I think, $850 for 6 hours and $1,000 for a full day rental.
Sounds very conveniently located, at least if you're in Montgomery County. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the one thing. However, one thing, we should always have the backup. So this is something that Vice Chair Wafa brought up to me that I think is a great idea. If anyone is aware of venues that meet the criteria that I shared earlier, that are either more centrally located or even cheaper than $450 for an all-day rental, or even better, if it's a space that's accessible, that meets that criteria, that's free, then that money can be saved from our annual budget to be put towards other future events. So we're trying to be fiduciaries and responsible here with the budget. At the same time, timing is starting to be tight. So please reach out to me if you have other venues you'd like us to consider or of.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we return to Commissioner Susan? I think you had your hand raised again. Anybody else first? Okay, now we could go to second comments. Commissioner Susan? You're on mute.
Sorry, just to repeat the date again.
Oh, October 26th, which is a Sunday.
And we didn't want to use, I don't know that it's available, the space that we had the training in initially, which was the Goats View offices, I guess, right? That wouldn't that be free?
Dr. Brown, I can't recall, does that area have a kitchen space, and does it, I remember there were potentially some of the criteria that it didn't meet. I can't recall.
It has a small kitchenette where I think there's a refrigerator in it. I can't recall right now as we say this out loud, but it's a small kitchenette there. But I thought the worry for me was the privacy for prayer and all that, because even though it'd be Sunday, I'll have to find out how we can get spaces and stuff like that for that. But it is available and it is free.
And it has classrooms. I mean, there are breakout spaces for the prayer we could use. Right.
I mean, honestly, even if there's a quiet corner in a large conference room, we would be fine. So.
Right. But there were breakout places where people could have quiet prayer.
Yeah. We used some different offices and different spaces in there we shut around the GOSI's office.
And Cheryl, you have a comment?
Yeah, the conference room is very big. It holds up to 130 people, which there it technically could be split in half, you know, with the wall going up, you know, for prayer, the other half for your activities. And like Dr. Brown said, the kitchen, it's a small little kitchen. It does have a refrigerator. If it doesn't have a microwave in there, we could put move a couple microwaves in there with no problem, but it does not have a stove.
Okay.
And do we have times? Because I'm supposed to
That's
teach
about
that
it.
night, so.
And yeah, I think Dr. Brown, we can probably, me, you, and Alyssa talk offline about using that space potentially, just because I know we're gathering a lot of information for the venues we already got quotes from. So, you know, I would not want them to have to gather a lot of information if we have other space that we want to consider that's available. So let's take that offline. Just last comment on this, Commissioner Alyssa.
So one thing that I will just address now, it is September 18th. So if we put this back into discussion, we have a yearly budget. We're not doing another event. So realistically speaking, we're not really taking away from anything else because this is our one event of the year. I understand that GOSI has space and that's great. I think that Commissioner Kishore found a location that is very conducive to what we're trying to achieve, not just be in, I hate to say it, like the GOSI building is a little bit more sterile, right? It's a state and, you know, state run building. It's very like classroom style, great. But I think the atmosphere of being able to come together, having that full kitchen and kind of having kind of that really kind of soothing, healing space, I think is kind of also the vibe that we're going for. And again, we're not taking away from, we're using $450 for this, and because we're using it, we can't do this. Like, this is our one event of the year. Why not get the nicest space that we can find, which is, I mean, again, I'm sure there's others out there, but I think delaying this again is actually a huge mistake because we can't call for a vote in another couple weeks, and then all of a sudden, I'll be honest, then I'm pinged in the last couple weeks to figure all these other logistics out, start doing room layouts. Like, I would really prefer that we actually take a vote today.
Thank you, Commissioner Alyssa. Commissioner Mohammed, do you have a comment? Even though I said that was the last comment, just yeah.
Okay, so I agree with Alyssa's sentiments, but I just wanted to add the location of the two, whatever's most conducive to the commissioners might also should play an effect as in the decision.
I will say I live in Crofton in Anne Arundel County, so obviously it would be closer, and I'll still drive out to Montgomery County. I just think what we're looking to achieve, no matter what, people are going to have to drive. It's Maryland, but it's Maryland on a Sunday, so it shouldn't be as bad.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm in Montgomery County, so I vote for wherever Montgomery County is. So.
And Vice Chair Wafa, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to propose, just taking into account Commissioner Alyssa's comments, and then also taking into account the fact that we are running out of time, perhaps, but also taking into account, Commissioner Muna, what you told me about the process, like there's still a couple steps to see if we can get the approval through GOSI for the budget. Can we vote today? Can we move to vote to approve, to submit the budget request or to finalize for the Montgomery County location? And then if GOSI denies that, align on the backup, so that way we don't have to come back, right? Like, it's all in one package.
I second that motion.
Dr. Brown, I think that's a question for you.
Oh, okay. So yes, but we would have to suspend the current motion that we have on the floor, and somebody will have to put a new motion on the floor. And then we have the first and second and have discussion.
So can I actually say that I amend my motion? Because that should
Yes.
allow for Robert's Rules of Order. So I amend my motion to state that we would like to approve the $450 to use the facility out in Montgomery County. If by some chance we do not get the approval for the budget as stated per this request, then we will move to Go See where we have a facility that we're able to use at no charge.
Do I have a second to Commissioner Alyssa's motion? I got a second from Commissioner Ganay. Okay, now I'm going to open the floor on the amended motion for any remarks. Please raise your hand if you have remarks. Vice Chair Wafa, you have the floor.
I think we also just have to check if GOSI's available. Like, is that something that Dr. Brown, you can check now or on the call, or do we need to do it offline?
No, but I'm sure we are. But no,
Okay.
we don't have to. We can't check it now. With me and Cheryl will work on it probably on Monday, because I know Friday we have an event all day Friday, but we'll check on it on Monday.
Okay.
Any other questions or remarks on the amended motion? Otherwise, we could take a vote on it. No? Okay, wonderful. So if you want to approve the amended motion, please raise your hand in approval.
This is Thar. I'm raising my hand.
Wonderful. Thank you, Thar. Great. So we have unanimous approval for the amended motion by Commissioner Deaver. So the amended motion passes. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so that closes out our update on the working group for event planning and the commissioner retreat. I wanted to open it up for all of the remaining working groups. We've had, some working groups that have met, some that have not been able to meet. Does anybody want to raise their hand and take the floor to provide an update on your working group? Okay, I think I saw first Commissioner Mohammed, was your hand raised from the vote before?
Yeah, it was raised from earlier, sorry.
Okay, and then Commissioner Susan, you have the floor for your update. And if you could just state which working group you're providing an update for as well.
Right. So I'm the co-leader with Amal of the Interfaith Programs working group. I couldn't get a hold of Amal. I think she's out of the area. So
she's unwell. She's actually at urgent care at the moment.
Oh my, okay. I hope she's okay. So first with her there, and I'll check in later. We have a couple of things. One is that we are partners with the Institute of Islamic, Christian and Jewish Studies. They're partners of our commission, and they are sponsoring a program statewide called Common Ground, which brings clergy of different faiths together in their localities, ideally people who don't really know each other, mixed by faith identities and by gender, to have a structured series, kind of a sort of reflective structured dialogue, but not really, of around different conversations of sharing identities. And this is a project actually of Dr. Hargrove from GOSI, who's the state interfaith outreach director, and who accommodated us at our last event by coming to represent the Christian community at our event. So I owed her. And she asked if I would represent the commission in participating, which I did. So we had a wonderful first meeting, and that's happening now across the state. So that's just something interesting to do and to know about. The other thing is that, just to follow up a little bit with what Aisha was talking about with the HOCO pilot in the schools, is that we want to start reaching out to something that I had done in our last iteration under Thorwart, is reach out to the other commissions to see if we can align with their support on this particular project. And so we didn't know if we can just run with that, or if we need to, you know, obviously I'm informing everyone. So that would mean me giving a call to, or Mona, if you wanted to give the call to the chair of the the Pacific Asian chair, who's our Howard
Yang.
County Yang, who
Yeah.
was helpful to us when we had our event last year, and also to Pri, who is he still the chair
Yes.
of the Southeast Asian? So I don't know if you, Mona, I don't know if you want to make that initial call, or I've been in touch with them in the past. I don't know if you want me just to follow up with them to see if they're interested in.
I would
me-
love to be included. Yeah, I'm.
Okay.
I was recently. Pri actually lives not that far away from me.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So the question is, can we work together to, as the most identifiable minorities in the Howard County school system, and probably in some of the other school systems, work together as sort of a block to be supportive of this program? And it might mean also we're broadening the burden for fundraising to help the school achieve the money that they need to get this pilot going. So you and I will talk offline, I guess, with Aisha, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and we could loop in Vice Chair Waffa as well.
Of
So,
course, yeah.
okay.
And
Thank
also
you.
Athar, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Grossman. Any other working group updates? Okay.
Hi, this is Athar. Sorry.
You have the floor, Athar.
Actually, I'm gonna get off at, I have to get off at 7:15 today, but this isn't a working group update. It's just an update of something I'm working on with Dr. Brown. Would you like me to give you an update about it now?
Well, actually, we're just about to move to new
Okay.
business, so
I'll wait. Okay.
and raise it as new business.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have no additional comments, so we can move ahead to our next agenda item, which is old and new business. Does anybody have any that they would like to raise?
Yes, this is Athar. Can I go first?
Yes, you have the floor, Commissioner Athar.
Okay. Me and Dr. Brown and I are we're still in the works, but we're looking to help about 15 Middle Eastern businesses that are in downtown Baltimore that are being affected by the road closures from a recent fire. They closed off like 4 blocks, so the rail is closed and people can't get to their businesses. Like all their small businesses are being affected. So we're just that's in the works. We're trying to do something with that. And Dr. Brown also is really helpful in sending us on another project, just paperwork on how to report hate crimes, because we didn't really know how to, he sent us a bunch of paperwork on how to report hate crimes. That's it. That's all my new business.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Athar. Let's circulate that reference to the entire commission so they can cascade it to their community.
Great. Any remarks on Commissioner Athar's?
I have one, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Dr. Brown, you have the floor.
She didn't. I know she probably was going to let this go to our vice chair, but she also forgot to mention that we worked on the social studies
Yeah.
project. So I can't remember if it's the state. I am tired. Y'all gotta excuse me. The social studies agenda had been, I guess it was voted on. So I'll make sure I'll send it out because it was some stuff that in the future that's going to be prevalent to this. So I'll let Vice Chair and Athar explain a little bit more about what they was talking about, the agenda for the social studies for the state. But I'll let that happen. But we are working on and continue to work on that too as also.
And Vice Chair Waffa, I know we're still working through talking about that offline, but was there anything related to that you wanted to bring up tonight?
I mean, I guess just high level, I can share, and I guess it kind of ties into the Education Health Committee, which I think you're on, is that right?
Yes, I'm the co-chair.
Yeah, so you had brought this to our attention, but I guess at the Maryland state level, I'm aware of it at the county level, but I didn't realize that also at the state level, there are essentially like social different, what do you call them? Work plans for curriculum plans. And so there's like a social studies one, and within it, there's a lot of references to Middle Eastern content. And so we don't know the frequency. Dr. Brown's going to find out how frequently they update this, but there was a recent one that was just passed through this past month, I believe, in August. And it was something that we would have liked to be able to review and have our communities chime in on. And so we're hoping that we can understand the next time around when they will be reviewing it, what the comment period and process is like, so that we can be sure that we feel like the Middle Eastern content accurately reflects our histories.
I did also want to say that Dr. Aisha did find a document, I believe it was last night, that that parents and other professionals, if they want to be part of the working group, they have to fill out by the 28th of this month, I believe. So I did forward it to the parents that were asking about it, but I can also send it out to the entire commission.
And thank you for raising that. I was actually going to bring that up to the entire commission, because I received one as well from Montgomery County Public Schools. And it seems like there may be one for all of our counties. So, we can share those out to people so that they're aware in our communities how to get on those working groups. I saw Commissioner Susan, you had your hand raised.
Sorry, because we're working, it's not real time, but we're working with the school systems. It would be really, I just would ask to be in the loop with anything related to education. That would be really helpful for me. So when I'm out in the community, I'm not surprised. So that would be helpful. So as real time, sort of, if possible.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Any other comments before we circle back for second comments?
Oh.
No? Okay. Vice Chair Waffa, you have the second comment.
Just more of a recommendation, but to your Commissioner Munoz pointed out that, they have these curriculums that are developed at the county level, and then there's the state level. There are ways to get involved in each of the counties, presumably, and at the state level. So that's a great resource that I think GOSI should provide to all of the ethnic commissions to say, okay, this happens at the state level, this happens at the county level. Please communicate this model to your commissions and their members so that we are driving, a most inclusive and accurately reflected curriculum across all ethnicities. And it's not just us trying to figure it out on our end as a part of the Middle Eastern Commission.
Wonderful. And
can I ask process-wise, Mona? I'm just wondering that I know just from working with Howard County, I'm wondering if it's possible to procedure-wise, as our commission, then maybe in concert with the other commissions, that we could pass we could pass a statement that would request that there's more communication when the state or the counties are revising things, that we would support some kind of policy that would require representative input. And I know that that had been systemic in Howard County for a short period of time, and then they disbanded the community the community gather that they had a DEI group, so they disbanded it, so it doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know on the state level, maybe Greg or Mr. Yancey or Dr. Brown know, but it seems that we as a commission and as commissioners could have a vote on a policy recommendation, and then we could have maybe encourage these other commissions to pass that also, and then that becomes something the governor wants to move in terms of educational policy, so that we're not scurrying afterwards, but that we're from the beginning involved.
And I'm happy to share a little bit, because this has, I've talked with Executive Director Walker about this a little bit. And I think what we should focus on is our commission as sort of a communication channel. When we hear about opportunities when communities can weigh in on curriculum changes or make their voices heard, we help to get that outreach out so that there's representation, but we ourselves as a commission aren't necessarily appointed or elected to be representatives. So we wouldn't necessarily have a vote, but could be, for example, advisors if there is a group who wants to understand how to reach out to those communities. Now, that's just come up in conversation with me and Executive Director Walker, but Mr. Yancey and Dr. Brown, ultimately, please feel free to correct any of that if it's incorrect.
Can I clarify?
I'll yield to the Chief of Staff first.
Okay, and I think Rabbi Grossman had a clarifying statement as well before I could try to answer both questions.
Yeah, thank you. So it's not that we have to be the ones doing it, but that when before they start considering it, we get the heads up, exactly, Mona, what you were saying, so that we can communicate to our communities that and also what the governor can do is he can make a priority that these changes are not being done in a vacuum, that they must include community input. Mm-hmm. And then the process would be to let the different commissions know, and then we could let our ethnic groups know, right? So, but it sounds like it's happening the other way around, that the curricular changes are being drafted and may or may not be reviewed or have significant input by the communities, so, or experts in the communities. So that's what I've seen, and I don't know if that's what's happening now, but that would be something we could fix, possibly.
Okay, a number of issues that are tied into this. So I'm going to try to unlink some of this. So when you're talking about curricula, there are some things that are statewide. There are some discretion as county by county, and then there's also some discretion even within the classroom and within that instructor that might make some changes. As far as what can you do as a commission, there's several options. We can always reach out to the superintendent and schedule or reach out as far as conversations or meetings, whether someone from that office presents and meets here. We've done something before with a cross-commission meeting where we had representatives from that office came in and spoke regarding the recent executive orders earlier this year and how the Department of Education was responding to them and upholding the law, as well as making sure students are safe. And so those are meetings whether someone comes to this commission and presents, or your committee meets with representatives from that office. So that's definitely possible. We also accept legislation proposals that, that whether as you as a commission sends through the ledge office. And so we do take those proposals, and there's always the option and opportunity to have events, whether they're forums or other types of discussions where you are in fact hearing what the community is saying, and having those panelists or community members being heard, as well as inviting whether it's someone from the Department of Education, LEAs, those local education agencies to come out, those stakeholders. So there's a whole menu that you as a commission can select from, and then it's our responsibility to support you with those different endeavors. And so, Dr. Brown, I know that you may be able to add to what I have said.
No, just the documentation piece. So once we do that event and we put this down, it's my job and our job to make sure it gets to executive director and we get it to on the table of the governor, so he can be advised of all the things that's being done, that's being heard from our commission, from the community. And that piece is important. So making sure we hear it that way. So with all that Chief of Staff Yancey said, we use that to make sure we still use our advisory board piece to get over through documentation to the governor's office. You muted, Mona.
Yes, sorry. Vice Chair Wafa, any last remarks on this topic?
Yeah, I that's all super helpful. And I think that perhaps with what Greg has pointed out, like maybe since we missed the deadline, there's an opportunity to engage the superintendent and others. But I think I totally understand where Commissioner Susan's coming from, in the sense of like, there's a process. We would love to engage in the existing process of submitting comments, in engaging and the providing feedback, having experts weigh in on the curriculum. But the challenge for us has been that our communities have not necessarily been aware of those opportunities and the timelines. And so I think what she's trying to propose is, we have, I think in June, the opportunity, by June, commissions can put together legislative proposals. Is there an opportunity and something to consider perhaps down the line of something where the school systems at the county and state level better communicate and notify their communities, including notifying the commissions, for example, that this is taking place, and then it's then upon the commissions to engage their communities and communicate it down the chain, as Chair Mona was saying. So I just wanted to provide some clarification.
Great, and thanks for clarifying that comment, Commissioner Susan. I think we all think or feel similarly about this topic, so I'm glad we're talking about it. Any other last remarks before we close new and old business? Or any other business that commissioners would like to raise before we adjourn? Oh, Commissioner Aisha, you have the floor.
Yeah, so Dr. Brown, thanks for sharing that invite for the opiate addiction in Baltimore. I see a lot of patients that are battling opioid addiction. So I was curious to see, is Josie going to be at the event, and how is the event going to be used? I guess I'm curious about what kind of information is going to be shared, to see if, I have to take off clinic time, and I wanted to know, what is the agenda, or do you know more about the event itself?
I don't know. I know it's Dr. Hargrove's led, and it's coming from the Lieutenant Governor's office for that crisis. So I don't have the agenda for it, but I know it's a long day, and I don't know if Chief of Staff, if you have a little more information about the day's topics on that event.
I do not, just to be honest, I don't have too much more.
Okay.
I just know that they're looking at the demographics of where addiction has decreased and where it still stays pretty high. And so there will be um, some organizations that have been providing treatment. And so the different faith communities will be provided various resources. And of course, against the backdrop of what Baltimore City is considering, many of you may be aware of the judgment that Baltimore City has received against various pharmaceutical companies. And so those monies, those amounts that are going to be available, and how there has been community weigh-ins as far as how that money should be distributed to help combat the addiction and the vices that were there that led to those addictions. So there may be some discussion on that as well. But more than that, I'm sorry, I can't tell you too much, but I hope to
No
have an
problem.
agenda.
Thank you.
Once it does come out, I'll make sure I get it over to you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other open or new or old business?
I do have one before we close. I know I missed your opening, and I know you talked about our great event that we had with the orchestra. So I wanted to tell you I had a good time. I appreciate it when they put on the record. Had a blast. That was my first time ever being at one, so it was great being with you there. My second thing, many of us have. I don't think we have. So talking to executive director and figuring out the Open Meetings Act, I think we all should be certified. So I'm going to send out a good time and topics for everybody from the Open Meetings Act from the Attorney General's office. So I'm requesting, and have been requested of me, that all of us take the Open Meetings Act to get the certification. So so we all know, so we won't just be relying on Mona. We all know what it is, and we can have certification that we all took the test. So I'll be sending that out next week. And as soon as possible, once you get the test and you finish it, please send me back the certification so I can pass it along, so we can have them all on file. All right, that's it from me, Chair.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Brown. And I just have one last thing I want to end with, which is, we are a Middle Eastern commission, and just looking ahead, we don't have a meeting coming up in October. There are many high holidays coming up in October. And while I do want to wish all of our Jewish commissioners Shana Tova, I also want to open this up to just take a brief moment, since we do have a little bit of time and we're ending a little bit shockingly early, to see if, especially Commissioner Susan, if you could just, educate us as a group and just share a little bit about the high holidays that are coming up in October, because, this is a community where I think we should all be more well informed of everything that we all are so passionate about, and the reasons why we are here. So if you're open to that new business and suggestion, Commissioner Susan, you have the floor.
Well, I'm looking down to look at my calendar to see where everything is. So thank you. We have a month of holidays. So it's different than Ramadan is a month, and it's every day. So there's a regularity to it. What makes it harder is that the Jewish holidays are, this is the holy season. It's actually started depending on which community of what your origin of the Jewish community is. The Sephardic Jewish community, the Edat Mizrahi, the Arabic Jewish community would have started this holy season a month ago almost. And the European-based Jewish community started a month ago, but not as intensely. But it revved up this past Saturday night. And so so this is a time of reflection, of hope, of rapprochement, of repairing relationships, and looking back at what we've done wrong and trying to do better, and trying to make up for, what we've done wrong. And so that intensity is going to rise through the new year, which starts, Rosh Hashanah starts Monday night. It's a 2-day holiday, and it always starts the night before. So it's easy when we're talking to the Muslim community because you get it because it's similar, right? So we start Monday night and we end after dark on Tuesday, Wednesday for Rosh Hashanah. Then Yom Kippur, which that starts the 10 days of repentance of this intense thing. Rosh Hashanah is a happy holiday. We have apples and honey, and we wish each other a sweet year, but we're also asking for forgiveness. So I want to personally ask all of you. I'm a crazy New Yorker, and so I know that in Maryland that's sometimes not really understood. So I wanted to apologize if I appear overbearing or talk too much or talk too little or all sorts of crazy things that New Yorkers do and rub people the wrong way. So please forgive me. I really have tried so hard over the years to become a better Marylander, and speak in a better way. So I apologize for that and really mean that sincerely. And so we lead that up to Yom Kippur, which is a very long day of fasting. We actually start at the synagogue, depending on the synagogue, a half hour or more before sundown. So it's a fast from sundown to dark. So it's a 25-hour fast, but it usually starts a good almost hour before that by the time you leave the house. And we don't drink or eat. You guys know what that's like from Ramadan. And then we culminate at the end with a break fast where usually families, maybe if they're physically okay to do that, maybe get together with family and friends. And we spend the day literally in services, praying, asking people's forgiveness, reflecting on our failures and how we can do better in the coming year. And I missed a fast day in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So on this coming Wednesday is also a fast day because we've had such a good time on Rosh Hashanah, and this is a serious time. So we have just a sunrise to sunset fast day for the fast of Gedalia, which is historically when Persia had when Babylonia had taken over, conquered Israel, they put a Jewish governor in charge, and they were extremists. His name was Gedalia, and the extremists killed the governor. And then Babylon said, forget it, you're done. So then the exile happened. So that violence is a sin, and violence against elected officials is a sin. So we're fasting, and violence breeds more violence. And so that's what the lesson is of, I wish people in Israel would learn that. Sometimes the extremists, especially on the West Bank, could I say that on a state thing? But so that's a fast day where we recognize the sin of extremism. And then we continue to Yom Kippur, which is next Monday, the following Monday, I think, and Tuesday. Let me see where it is. Yom Kippur, I'm sorry, Wednesday night and Thursday, October 1st and 2nd. And then after that, the tradition is right after Yom Kippur, when you're feeling weak and terrible, you put your first nail in your sukkah, which is a harvest hut. And most of our holidays actually are grounded in the agricultural year of the land of Israel. As is Sukkot, it's the holiday after the harvest. So if you go around anywhere in some parts of Israel or in some of the Palestinian areas in Israel, you'll see harvest huts up during the harvest. And the Sukkot, which are little kind of sticks with a little cover to keep the sun off you. And on the Sukkot is after the harvest, and it's open on top. It has just like kind of slats, which would let the rain in, it would let the sun in. And we're staying here. We have finished our harvest, and we're showing our dependence on on God, and we're sitting out of our house. We're eating all of our meals out of the house in the sukkah. It's called this harvest hut, and recognizing leaving our comforts of home inside, and we're going to be outside in the weather, whatever's going to happen, and it's not as fancy. And it gives us a little bit, reminds us in the midst of having plenty, hopefully, that we're being more aware of, particularly of hunger. We're supposed to welcome guests. We're supposed to share food. Those are some of the values. Particularly, it should have a new person every night, and particularly to give food to the poor. So those are some of the values. And we end with a great happy celebration. We have the last 2 days of that period are actually separate holidays. As on all holidays, we mourn the losses we've had in our family. So we remember the loved ones who passed on to the next world with particular prayer, a memorial prayer and services. We light a memorial candle for them on on Yom Kippur, and on the next holiday, which is Shmini Atzeret. So from the night of Monday night, the 6th of October, we have again 1 night and 2 days of holidays of Sukkot, and then the following week, the Monday night, the 13th through the 15th, we have what's called the 8th day of Solemn Assembly, where we have a very important morning ceremony in services, the Yizkor, and we then have Simchat Torah Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday, the 14th and 15th, where we go wild. We dance. People are literally dancing in the streets. We dance with our Torah scroll, which is the handwritten on animal parchment that we use to read from the Torah, from the first 5 books of Moses. There's a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. It's the only time of year that children that are underage gets called up for an honor, and it's a big event. And we kind of stretch out a talit over them, and then usually synagogues honor somebody as well with the last reading of the whole book of the Torah, and then the first reading. And we start again. We never finish our scripture. We get to the end of the last book of Deuteronomy, and then we start again immediately at Genesis. And then we are really happy to be done for a while. And there are no holidays for the next month. We have to recover.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Grossman, for sharing that, and for all those who are celebrating. I wish you all a blessed fast and celebration and new year ahead. And as a reminder, our next full commission meeting is on November 13th. We're very lucky that we will have a guest speaker for that meeting from the Native Americans Initiative to talk about workforce development for skilled immigrants and the Skilled Immigrants Task Force. So until then, excited to plan with everyone. And I am now going to ask a motion to adjourn our meeting. Do I have a motion?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a second? Commissioner Amar is our second. So if everyone can say yay or raise your hand. Wonderful. That is unanimous. Athar, I'm assuming you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. I thought, I had so much energy coming from this meeting. Thank you all. I loved everyone's participation, and I thank you all for that. Have a lovely evening.
Good night. Great meeting, y'all. Great meeting tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Take care. Happy New Year. Have a healthy, safe year.
You as well.
Good
Bye.
night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.